knows what they say. Flynn knows where the bodies are buried, right? Well, that's a metaphor for he knows everything. So any president, any president should have him right there, because he can do what we all want.
Did you ask him if anyone actually came to him and said to him, Mike, maybe, take a pass on this, like, don't go there, do something else?
When people come, Daniel, great question, because when people come to know General Flynn, right, there's right and there's wrong. And
that's the problem. Yeah.
He is incorruptible.
A military-industrial complex is the front man. Okay, the people behind the scenes are far more powerful than the boogeyman of a military-industrial complex, which, is, again, going back to Eisenhower. Is Flynn's vindication, was that one of the objectives of the film?
It was very straightforward. It was document the truth.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining us. This is Daniel Astronaut, and welcome to Astronaut Media. Now, imagine you have a chance to pick the brain of one of the most brilliant military strategists in America today, bar none. A man considered to be President Trump at the time, President Trump's left hand. Well, my guest today is Scott Weiper. He's an American writer, film director, and actor. And his latest film is Flynn, General Flynn. Now, Scott is the author of again, many films, but the one that I saw, okay, he actually wrote the screenplay for one of my favorite films, The Cold Light of Day, which takes place in Spain. I've lived in Spain, as you know, for many, many years. Starring Henry Cavill, Bruce Willis, Sigourney Weaver. Anyway, so he's joining us today. Scott, thanks so much for joining us, and welcome to the show.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you for that introduction. And thank you for doing what you do, informing people. Yeah, so, as you said, I had made, I'd written and executive produced Cold Light of Day and other action movies, A Better Way to Die, The Condemned.
I love that film, like Cold Light of Day. I really, aside from the fact I love Bruce Willis, okay, which I thought he was, really, really well cast. It's an amazing film, and it's an amazing screenplay. So let me ask you about, let's get into the Flynn the movie. Okay, Flynn is General Flynn is a captivating, as the promo says, documentary that delves into the life and trials of General Michael Flynn. And so let's start. Let me ask you this: why did he decide to tell his own story now?
Great question. Now, this had been, what I learned working with him closely for a year and a half. He had wanted, once he'd survived the ordeal, and it's always ongoing.
Survival. It's a very good choice of words, survive, because at one point in time, I actually thought they may kill him.
I asked that in the film of him. You don't always hear the questions, but that was a chapter we covered in the 2 weeks of interviews, really. So this was a very intense, this wasn't sit down for 3 hours. This was a series of interviews, 12 hours a day, over 2 weeks. Now, of course, there are about 15 individuals in the movie, but the joy of filming it the way we did was, I think the first 2 days was just deep talks with the general, right? But then as other people came in, his son, Michael Jr., his wife, then I could bring him back, right? And address things that I learned from the family. So it was, as far as interviews and making a film like this, it was complete exposure. I mean, nothing was off limits. And he even said an interesting thing. He has a great sense of humor, along with being a 3-star.
It's a very cynical sense of humor of somebody who has been betrayed and somebody who has been backstabbed many times. That's, people who've gone through that in life, okay? They have a very similar sense of humor to
Well, a cynical's a good word. A sardonic, cynical. He basically said when we were filming, he looked at the film crew and he goes, "Hey, if I'm going down, like if I'm in a plane and I'm going down, I'll just text you, put it all out there, right? Meaning all 100 hours. There was nothing. There was nothing. And when you interview people, when you do films, there you can sense you can sense like, oh, they're a little bit guarded, open book, and even in the editing, it was like anything we had on film was fair game because, and his attitude was, I'd love if you just put out all 100 hours for people to watch. So the
Let me ask you
process,
this. What made you interested in telling the story? Because again, you've done a lot of different things. And, as a filmmaker, you obviously have to make sure that you do things that in one way or another are going to further your career as well. I mean, you can tell a story, okay? But there's a personal angle for you in this as well. So why did you decide to take this project on?
it was, Daniel, I hit a point right in 2020, maybe like you and others, where I had to change things up. I'd made these action movies really starting since I was 18. I went to film school and always wanted to, it was Die Hard, Lethal Weapon, 48 Hours. It was the action movies of the 80s when I was a teenager. So that's what I did. And it was a passion. But something hit me. It was growing for a while because I'd always paid attention to what's happening in the world. And growing up in my house, Iran-Contra was dinner table conversation in the 80s. So I was very aware of what was happening and cynical in some way of like I always kind of believed in the uniparty and that politics was a fair amount of pro wrestling. It was fake, what we see on television. But I put the word out that I just wanted to use my skills as a filmmaker and a feature filmmaker, someone that writes, directs, produces, to do something to help this country. And so I'd never made a documentary before, but I was confident in my ability to tell a story in approximately 2 hours, right? And I approached this as a documentary. And the first time I sat with the general, I just said, I'll tell this story in classic mythic structure, 3 acts, and just I'll take the facts as they are and the timeline. And the one thing I stressed, which is, in any story, the humanity, right? Because I'd looked at as an American, as someone who's concerned about the world. I was humanity was important because when I'd watched a lot of documentaries and they're great as far as information, but I felt that the globalist media, the corporate media, had dehumanized him. So I emphasized in my 2 weeks of interviews digging into more personal stuff and the family, because I thought the world needed to see that this was a real man, a complex
Well,
man, a very intelligent man,
so the
and a
media,
hero.
yeah, the media, portray General Flynn as a deeply flawed human being, maybe even anti-American. They don't say it outright, but it's there. If you go to, it doesn't matter whether it's, mainstream media, whether it's, Wikipedia page. I mean, it's like, you walk away with the impression that, this guy is saying God is not there anymore because, he would have royally fucked the United States. But it's the human interest angle, okay? Because it's a very personal story. But before we go on, I just want to bring our audience attention to the fact that we are Daniel Media. The reason we do what we do is because, as you just said, we need people to understand we're at a crossroads in the development of human history. We have a lot of information that unfortunately we can't make it public. For one very simple reason, the social media controlled by the global elite will cut us off immediately, as has happened so many times with so many other people. And so, we go behind the paywall, so people can actually have access to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of interviews. We have over 300 interviews, over 7,000 hours of material, which we've done over the years. And to get access to this material, sign up to our page, Astronaut Media, click the little bell so you actually get notifications of anything we do.